Hello my friends, and welcome to my July-August Is Your Ex Coming Back. Just before I start, I want to let you know there is like still a speed up special. So if you order something, it's not going to last 3 weeks as a regular reading. You're going to get it within a week. Also, if you order rush, you're going to get it within 3 days, not a week, and urgent readings 24 hours. So some of you are really familiar with this reading. These cards here are taken from a different deck, and they're called significators. Significator means, hey, I really want to describe something that is happening over here, but this is not a card that I read. So yes, this front row is going to be identical in all the readings because of that. If you did see this explanation, just jump to the reading. But if you haven't, please listen to it, because it's actually really important and it's a part of the reading. So this very first card, the Magician, I picked because it's a number 1. I really want to see how to move forward in this category. As above, so below. What can be the best that can come out of this relationship? What are the tools that they're given? You know, not everybody is given like sort of like, you know, full house. Some of us really have to deal with what basically we are kind of like handed. So this is going to tell me if this is even a starter, this relationship. Temperance here is purposely reversed because in the upright position, Temperance talks, hey, can I mix these two opposites? So let's say one is really good, one is really bad. Is there a point of making this in the middle if it's not? Generally, really, I want to see which things are pulling this relationship apart. What cannot be glued? What has to be glued in order to move forward? Then Queen of Wands is going to be one significator. It could be you. It doesn't matter if it's a male or female, even though I'm using wands all the time. And not everybody is a fire sign, which usually wands are used for. And the reason why I'm doing this is like when we date, we kind of are very action oriented. We kind of like do for a moment, step in this fire and acting like that. And then we sort of like settle in our own sign. This is going to give me communication between the two of you. What's going on? How is it projected? What could or won't happen? And now the two really important cards would be Judgment, which is one of my chosen karma cards. And I want to see in this category, was this a karmic mate? Was this a karmic soulmate? Because then I would advise you, look, get a karmic reading too, because this is actually part of you and your path. You wanted this person to come here. Usually karmic soulmate or twin flame is like, ouch, relationship, right? And here we're going to see, where is this going? Is this going a step further, or is it not going a step further? So hopefully this was like not too much of introduction, and let's start. Hey, hi Taurus, and welcome to your July-August Is Your Ex Coming Back reading. Again, let me just refresh your memory. This is a general reading, meaning some messages can be hitting you directly. If not, check out your ascendant, check out your Venus, your Mars sign. Generally, usually is like sun sign, ascendant, and moon. And then also, if you're looking for somebody, check their Mars sign. So, of course, the best is to get a private reading, so you can check me out on Cat Tarot. So let's see what's in the store for you guys this time around. It's kind of like really interesting. You're probably trying to resuscitate something. You're really kind of like, you're almost like thinking that sheer willpower is going to get you there. And funny enough, it even might. Like, I mean, I'm seeing your sister signs over here. I'm seeing Capricorn, I'm seeing Virgo. There is like a huge movement toward, okay, you know what, let's get it done. Let's kind of like see how the next day will go. But overall, you're really not sold on it. You kind of like are playing this poker game with sweaty palms. And it's kind of like, no, like you really need to do something that most likely, and karma is saying, yeah, you need to step away. You need to find a wisdom in the situation. That's why the Hermit is there, right? This is kind of like a silence. And you need to kind of like pull back in instead of jumping in some kind of relationship. It looks like a relationship is there. It's offered. It might seem right. From, let's say, the paper, it looks good on the paper. But this is not right. It looks like, keep in mind, this is like a two-way street. So it could be you and the partner that I'm reading this in between. It could be when I say you, it could be them. So one of the sides, right? But I'm seeing here that some healing has to take place. A hopefulness and feeling hopeful and wanting to go forward is really not there. Like there is like lots of obsessing, and this usually happens, hey, you did that to me, how could you do that to me? And we are like looking for these answers on the outside. We are somehow waiting for these answers to kind of like appear and to show up. But the truth is that these answers are already inside of us. And this is like why this card is appearing, saying like, look, this is basically talking about your 7 chakras, that you need to address various segments of your life and just, you know, list them, whatever it is, like work and children and family and partner, and see how you do, kind of like grade yourself on it. But be realistic about that. Because there's like the essence of I cannot do this anymore. I was doing so much. Or maybe somebody's juggling in this kind of like entire situation. One person is juggling, another person is completely pulling away, saying I just don't want it. I just simply will kind of like monitor this situation and see how this kind of like progress. See, the High Priestess is kind of like a very interesting character in tarot. She sits there, she actually knows everything, but she looks kind of very innocent, and kind of like she actually appears to watch our moods, our body language. You know, the communication, majority of the communication comes from nonverbal clues. So I think almost 85%. So you actually don't even have to understand somebody's language, even though those nonverbal cues are sometimes also society influenced, in order to understand that. So you will see if somebody's angry at you. You will see if somebody loves you. Like it's kind of like that universal language that can kind of like really transcend. And what was this movie with a fish that they just made? The Sound of Water, The Sound of Silence, or whatever it was a really good movie. Yeah, I really liked, because it was basically saying that these emotions transcend like, I mean, planets or species, and we kind of know it. And she is like saying, oh, show it to me, show it to me. So some kind of like understanding needs to happen. And my autofocus is playing here games with me. Some understanding really needs to happen in this situation, and it's not going to happen with talking over here, and that's kind of interesting. It's going to happen with simple observation, sort of like you tell somebody you need to change. And so what's happening is almost like when you say you, it's almost like pointing a gun at somebody. You don't ever get people to change. We only can change ourselves. So if somebody doesn't want to do something, we simply just have to understand they don't want to do that. Do I want to deal with this? Is this a big deal? Yeah, okay, I'm walking away. So you kind of like, some people have too many of the big deals. Oh, he doesn't have like nice kind of like shoelaces, etc. That's kind of like ridiculous. But you know, there are certain core beliefs, and it shouldn't be more than 3 or 4 of them. Okay, they should not cheat, they should kind of be respectful. And it looks like here is like the intention of fixing internally, kind of like, look, I'm kind of like all kind of like out of words. I don't have anything to say anymore. I simply kind of like really want to go in a new direction, but everything has been said. I'm kind of like all kind of like dried out. So if you show me that you have changed, fine, but I really have to see it. And not once, not twice. It has to become a new pattern. And you know what they are talking about, these new patterns, like it's a minimum of 28, they call it days, but it could be 28 times that a new thing is applied when you can say this kind of like is moving forward. So I really think, guys, you're actually going through the process of some kind. There it is. There is like indecision in relationship needs repair, and look, you're actually very, very aware of that. Over here there is like, it's almost like a thunderbolt is going to happen to you somewhere when we are entering this Mercury retrograde, and it's going to be, holy smoke, I get it now. It's going to be just like that, because you know, like this is kind of like going from this kind of like almost like driving yourself insane and continuing, oh well, we could have good life and we could be together and I did that for you, and just if you did that again, we are looking for somebody else to stimulate our life versus giving this to ourselves. And you're so going to click it, right? This kind of like scarecrow kind of attitude. Oh, you know, I have these two solutions, but I don't like any of the solutions, but if I don't pick it, I'm going to lose a relationship. It's literally, yeah, what they call it, calling like you're playing poker with sweaty palms. Everybody knows you don't have it, right? Instead, kind of like, hey, kind of like try to see what you can trust, and guess what you can bet on. You can bet on you, because you can change you can kind of like work on you. And there is like this cycle, there is like this new cycle starting. The Fool is kind of like new beginning, but it's usually new beginning that is going solo, but it's solo with hope. Hey, I'm free of this past. You don't have that power over me. I bet on me. It's kind of like a positive card. And also, don't take it too crazy, you know, like pendulum swings kind of like the other way initially. You know, like take it easy. You kind of like, you have been working on getting the small tool set. Okay, I know how will I deal with the situation. These tool sets are those core beliefs. Look at how little of them should be there, but those core beliefs are what they make you, or what you can make out of your life. So sort of like you just have to have a needle and a thread, and you can create blanket kind of like, but you need to, you already have these tools, and you're actually going to be working on approach. And that's kind of like that aha moment where you might even actually end up rejecting someone. You will say, look, I don't like being with you, I don't like being alone, but right now I really have to figure myself out and what makes me happy, and then see if you kind of like fit in, if that can actually even be workable. So the Temperance reversed is showing up here as well, saying, you know, this person or the situation or something is just like wrong. It's something is off. It's not going to work out, not at this time. And like anything with this person might be very counterproductive right now. And there is also need of establishing boundaries, sometimes not in a nice way. Most women, especially if you're a woman listening to this, most women, we are trained to be nice and kind, and then, you know, we somehow expect things are going to just show up. And men want to be told. So if you tell them, it can kind of be a bad thing. If you don't tell them and then they do it, it's kind of frustration. So this is kind of like finding that, you know, you need to speak up. You need to kind of like do that. And I see that, you know, you will really, some of you will feel that you're letting them down, but you have this choice literally, and this is like the choice that is hard to make. Do I let them down, or do I let me down? Do I let them down? Do I let me down? So if you guys don't put yourself first, nobody else will. And I'm not talking about narcissism. I'm not talking about selfishness. I'm just like simply telling you, because this juggling could be that you guys had two partners in the past. And if that was the case and the partner still wanted to be with you, then, you know, there was something wrong in that partnership in the first place, right? Even for you. And you have to figure out what was it in you that kind of like pushed you. What are your values? Are you going to kind of continue doing that? And, you know, is this partner now leeching onto something that you have to change overnight? So why don't you change and find yourself and then come back as a complete person? And that's why the Temperance is like saying, look, like, it's, this partner is actually very patient, but they are also going to realize, you know what, you know, you have to be left alone, like, at a time being. So let's see where we are going with this on August. You see, I totally see two different stories. One person is advancing, one person is kind of like reversing. So one person is drawing forward, one person is drawing backwards. So there is like distancing that is happening. For this relationship, it's simply there was a lack of perspective. There was a lack of some kind of like common goal. Relationships and marriages that actually work out are the ones that, but all the problems are still rolling in the same direction. It's very hard to do that these days when we have like every single kind of possible trigger that kind of comes our way, and commercials, and, you know, like, I mean, I can just sleep with somebody and nobody's going to catch me, and all these kind of nonsensical things, as if this kind of like doesn't bury inside of us, doesn't reflect on us and our karma, right? And the truth here was that kind of like it was just maybe timing that was off. I do see soulmate quality over here. You do have 2 6s, you do have a soulmate card, but there is like none of these karma cards showing up. So this kind of like was, you know, like you meet people for a reason, for a season, and for a lifetime. And that could be like a season, kind of like could be about unearthing some shadowy parts of ourselves. You're getting a lots of cards telling you you need to just simply release your control and kind of like try to understand how other people see your action. Just try to meditate on that and just like think that you are on the receiving end of you, that you're receiving you. And just like see if you will be able to reconcile this, because it sounds like to me that some of you really need to be winners, need to be on top all the time. And even if that means provoking people into jealousy and provoking people into some kind of like very non-transparent kind of situation. And you do know that for a quality relationship, people want transparency. It looks like somebody really, maybe it was even an affair with some married woman or married man over here that I see. And kind of like it was a situation where one person was left hanging, or it was something that was not in agreement with society. It was not in agreement what we generally consider right or wrong. Mind you, that means not much these days, right? So the truth here is like, and this is the same energy, 3 and 12, that you're kind of like reclaiming yourself. Some of your mothers over here, and like, I mean, it's kind of like really interesting with these 2, 3 trees. Like, you have to figure out what is it you want, what kind of person you want to be. You see, she is really motherly, creative. She's a business owner. She's somebody who actually doesn't need anybody else to approve her, but she's also very solid. She kind of like is the giver of life. So just imagine what kind of life you can give if you don't make yourself the best you can be. So when you increase vibration of the Empress, then you're getting to the Hangman. And the Hangman is almost like Emperor hidden over here with this 4 hiding here, where you're submitting yourself to, okay, so let's live 30 days in your shoes, you know, that kind of proverb, like, don't judge me until you walk in my shoes. And that's exactly what is happening here. It's usually some kind of sacrifice. It is like kind of like, okay, well, let's try to do it your way, but not grudgingly, right? So sometimes sacrifices are really really beneficial. You know, you sacrifice 4 years, you're not kind of like going and dining out, but then you buy yourself, I don't know, a car, a really nice car. And so sacrifices like actually usually define they can actually determine who is a winner and who is a loser in life. When people cannot have this delayed gratification built in or developed in them, they are always going to stay losers. I have to have this, I have to have that. Okay, you're going to file bankruptcy. Yeah, but I have to have my nails, I have to have my hair. Well, this is kind of teaching the delayed gratification and understanding also that sacrifices are really needed in relationship. So it's definitely a process which is going to be inward happening, and it's kind of like going to feel like a self-discovery and kind of going in a new direction. So my dear Taurus, I kind of like, it's going to be really interesting. You're having a highly grounding energy, and this is also your card over here. But as I said, this is a general reading. To get your own, please contact me at cattarot.ca. And in the meantime, you know what? Life is short. You need to kind of like give yourself this ability to get yourself better, get to know yourself better, because this person also is not actually even willing to walk that path with you. They are basically telling you it's now or never. And that's the dilemma that you're going to have in this time period. And I'm telling you, it's the best this time around to get to know who you are. Kind of like, hello, let me meet myself. Go and check in the mirror and do this work, because it's going to be really beneficial for a long time. So Taurus, I hope to see you on my social media, and next week I'm going to release Twin Flames. So for those of you who have a little bit different type of connection, so you can check it there. So until the next time, guys, I would love to see your comments, and yay, if you're still here and you didn't press on this button here, please do. So then you're invited for live readings, and that's kind of cool, because then you can contribute with your energy to the reading. Thanks a lot, guys. Love you, and have a wonderful month and a half.